joining, ever worry that you're uh, neglecting your family and personal relationships because of your dedication to and demands of your career and leadership role? Today, we're going to dive into some practical strategies and support to help you balance your dedication to career and leadership with nurturing your family and personal relationships so that you thrive in both worlds without feeling the guilt of neglect. Mhm. And so, we tend to sometimes push ourselves too hard trying to meet these sky high standards. And the result is we're overbooked, we're exhausted, and we can't find a moment's rest. Any of you experience that? Feeling sometimes overwhelmed, or that everything that you do just doesn't seem to work or matter, and you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, and you have that pressure. And that pressure to excel in every area of our life can leave us feeling guilty and stressed, and many times on the fast track to burnout. And so, in the hustle to do it all, we're neglecting the most important person, ourselves, skipping out on exercise, sleep, drinking that water, downtown. Those things, when we skip them, don't just hurt us physically and mentally. It really impacts everything we do. And those major life changes, and I know we're facing it, you facing it, I'm facing it, like kids leaving home, menopause, a new job, a new city that we're moving to, caring for loved ones, all of those life things that happen, they add another layer of complexity to us finding that elusive work life balance. And these aren't just individual issues or affecting just us, they're really signals pointing to larger concerns that affect countless numbers of high achieving women and men. And so I want you to know that what we're talking about today affects many of us. Let me tell you about one of my clients. Now, we're going to call her Angela. Now, Angela is the head of a major healthcare nonprofit, really successful. She worked her way up and through the organization to get to the top. She has national recognition. She's seen as a leader in all issues of health and the care, particularly for the elderly. She's really a specialist in that area. And she's worked very hard to get there. And she's got lots of accolades, and she gets lots of awards. But despite her success in all areas of her profession, she really feels torn between her work and family needs. And also, she finds, very little time for her own needs. Now, her older daughter just left for college, and her two other children are right behind her. So, in a moment, she's going to experience that, empty nest syndrome, where them little young ones, we've been having the role of mom, protector, guider, coach, disciplinary, all those roles in terms of nurturing. That's going to change and end. And she just got word a few months ago that her mom was getting some health challenges, and she knew her dad wasn't really acting like he used to, in terms of he lost a lot of his energy and vigor. And her favorite aunt was really getting up there in years, and her aunt was alone. And so she, was really feeling this pressure of all of these things happening in her life personally to her, and yet still needing to maintain and balance that professional life. And then she realized that these changes really were pushing her to find that balance. She just had to find it. She felt that she had to do something. Then that's when she came to me. And I remember so vividly that first session we had when, I said, we were talking about, well, how was she feeling? Why was she here? What did she want to talk about? And she said, Dr. Geneva, I just feel exhausted. And she had this feeling, and that's all she could say, really, over and over again. I feel exhausted. She couldn't put her finger on it. She felt overwhelmed. She knew she still wanted to continue her career, but she didn't want to neglect her family or herself. So together we developed strategies for these significant life transitions. And we worked on those things so that she could continue to enjoy her personal and her professional achievements without compromising her personal well-being. And that's so she can address each and every day with excitement and joy, which is what she would tell you right now, is that she enjoys every day. It's a work in progress. And so that's so important to remember, that really it's about collecting these strategies and working on them and using them. And, Angela's story and her situation is not really unique. Many women who are in leadership roles that I talk with, or clients, really are looking for that right balance between their professional leadership roles, whether that's running a company, managing a staff, heading a nonprofit organization, but trying to find that right balance between that role and being in the family as mother or wife or partner, spouse, caregiver, whatever it is. And many are looking for that balance and also feel that the balance is an elusive goal. Well, we're going to settle that one. And I want you to know that, I want you also to think that, it's not, it's a misconception that only women struggle with balancing work and personal life. I want to say again, and while women face unique challenges, and the work that I do is primarily working with women in leadership roles, I do work with men as well. And it's a work-life balance is a universal concern that impacts everyone. And so for women, as they advance in their careers, they often take on more responsibilities at work and home. And this can include that caring for aging parents and supporting children, that continual managing of the household duties, and you got to look good and manage your relationships with your significant other and all of that while still excelling and doing, fabulous things at the professional role. I know how many of you all feel that you wear that cape. That cape we talk about, that superwoman cape, every day. So I know you do. Come on, let me have some. If you feel that you sometimes have on that superwoman cape, put a yes in the comments. But all of this demand at work, in your career, and at home with your family life can really lead to an overwhelming sense of responsibility. And then it becomes stressful and you feel guilty, and it really leads to struggles to maintain balance. Well, today, I want to share with you 4 areas of focus that you need to incorporate in what you do so that you can enjoy every day with peace and harmony. Continue to excel in your professional pursuits and maintain and balance and enjoy your family life and those personal relationships and take care of yourself in the process without feeling guilty or that you're neglecting one area or the other. So I'm going to go through these 4 areas and do some teaching. In the meantime, I want to make sure that you've got some pen and pencils and or what is it? No, pen and paper. It's pen and paper. Well, do we still use pen and paper? I know I love to. Am I the only one using pen and paper? Um, and Anyway, so let me say a quick good morning again to folk. Oh, thank you so much. Good to see all of you. Yes, okay, that's a yes because there are things that let me get my stuff together here. Okay. So, all right. So let's go through these areas. Please leave any comments or questions you might have in the chat as we move along. If you see in value, give me a like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that kind of good stuff. Okay. So the first area that you really need to focus on is boundary setting and time management. Okay. So, this feeling that we often have of being, stressed out or exhausted because we got so many things to do. Have you ever, there were times when I would just look at my to do list and feel exhausted just looking at it, not even doing nothing, just looking at it because I knew all those things on the list I'd have to do. And then there was still a whole bunch of other things that weren't on the list. And sometimes that would just completely overwhelm me. And what about you? If any of you have felt that overwhelmed, put a yes in the comments. And when we feel this way because we have so many things to do, we need to set boundaries and we need to be real clear on our time. Okay. So this boundary setting piece, you might say to me, well, Dr. Geneva, I try to set boundaries, but I may say one thing and I say, well, I'm going to stop work at 5 o'clock and going to turn off my computer. And then I'll do it for a couple of days and then it'll change. That's okay. First of all, let me say you got to practice that. It's okay. That is fine. But you have to remember that it's not just about saying, I'm going to stop work at 5 every day and expect it to happen miraculously and instantly when you have been going till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night every night for 5, 10 years. Okay. So you're talking about changing the habits. But what I'm trying to say to you is that you need to have a focus on setting boundaries and the other focus on protecting your personal time, which is about learning how to manage what you do with your time. So that's the focus area. So I want you to say, well, one of the things I can do to help manage the overwhelm and stress is to focus on how I set boundaries and how I manage my time. Okay. And so some of the key things that you'll want to do is saying no to whole bunches of things. Oftentimes because we be saying yes to everything. Okay. Somebody wants us to do something and we be yes, because it's when we throw on that cape, that superwoman cape, because we can do it all. I can't tell you how many times I will say yes to something. And then 2 weeks later, as the event is the next day, because I'd be saying to myself, why did I do that? Why am I in this situation? I don't want to do this. I don't have the time. I need to be doing something, etc. So it's very important for us to learn how to say no in the beginning, to not overcommit ourselves. So if we feel that it's going to be too much, just say no and say it graciously. Oh, thank you so much for thinking about me. I have some other commitments then, but will you let me know the next time this event comes up? Okay. Be gracious. Express your appreciation to someone for thinking about you, but say no. Okay. So we really have to work on and practice not committing to everything. And we want to do that so that we can say yes to more family time and more time to take care of ourselves. Okay. So the saying no allows for the yes. Now, I work with women who do the opposite. That is, that they focus on being very intentional about saying yes to their own self-care, scheduling massages, scheduling the trips, taking the mini vacations, saying yes to, children going to their activities, just really putting those yeses more on the side of the family care and their own self-care. So, however you do it, whether you become a master at saying no to overcommitments, or you become very much an expert in saying yes to things that matter, okay, you got to do that. That's an action. And the other thing that we should keep very focused on is organizing and planning, to be smart, smarter things that we do, rather than working real hard. We need to delegate more, batch projects, task more, that is doing similar things at the same time. We need to come and understand that and do that more. So being organized in smart ways will really make a difference. So as we focus on boundary setting and time management, those are the things I want you to think about. Now, here are a couple of tips, some that I've used and love. Many of them I share with my clients, and they're using them. Time theme days. This is where you assign different themes to different days of the week with your family, like a family fun Friday or a self-care Sunday for yourself or for your whole family. I remember when I was growing up, we always used to have Fish Day Friday. you know, and it was about fish. And my dad used to go and get the most delicious fish. I was born and raised on the Jersey Shore, so our fish, mwah, the finest fresh fish and seafood. So it was really great. He used to go and get it, bring it home, and he'd cook it, or my mom would cook it, or sometimes we'd go out and get takeout, whatever it was. It was fish day. But what was really more fun about it is that we'd all be together and we would have fun. It was something to look forward to. So that's something that you can do with your family. Just have a different theme, or for yourself, like that self-care Sunday. I love that. I like self-care Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, I do believe in that. Um, you can also think about gratitude minutes. And this is where you stop and you just think about how grateful you are and what are some of the things that you love, and take a few minutes each day to write down what you're grateful for in your personal and professional life. This is just a way to remain positive and thankful for the things that you're involved in. And what you can do is you can involve your family or your children or your significant other in this process as well. And also keep those no tech zones. We need them when we think about focusing on our time and boundary setting. There should be places in your home where it's tech free. That folk can't come in, no children, no spouses, nothing can't come in with the phones on, and all they're doing is looking at their phones and what have you, but are tech free. Um, safe places where the focus is on family interaction. Perhaps, in your game room where all you do as a family is play games. You know what I'm talking about. Spaces where technology or the TV or the phones don't intrude on your family life. And then one other tip I'll leave for you as we think about this focus area of boundary setting and time management and creating these spaces that are rich and joyful. And that is to create soundtracks, playlists that are fun that you name and for different tasks or different times of the day, because like you might have a playlist to clean the house or a playlist to wash dishes, or I've got a playlist for when I go on the plane. Okay. So I'm not sure that fits right in with this, but I'm not a great flyer. So it does fit because, sometimes I do these things and I don't even, think because they come so natural because I'm always looking for ways to self-care. But I need to calm down my anxiety. So I have this playlist and it is titled, you could go to my phone if you want, and it says playing. And these are all the favorite tunes. When I turn that on and I'm on the plane, I don't think about nothing almost. But you could do the same thing if you love music, because music is such a motivator, a calmer, and an energizer. It can do so many things, and it can make routine tasks or high anxiety tasks more enjoyable for you. So let me know what you think about focusing on this area. Now, the second area is one that I believe is so critical for us, and it deals with these role changes we're going through. So you may say to me, well, Dr. Geneva, what do you mean? Well, we were just talking about when we were talking about Angela. So for years, Angela took care of her children. So that means mom and all of those dynamics of being mom as you nurture and support your children, everything from driver to coach to supporter to disciplinarian to disciplinarian is a person who keeps you who's going to keep you disciplined. Okay. Um, you know, um, making sure you eat, all of these things in the role of mom. Well, when your child goes out the house to college or to a new job or new life, whatever it is, because that will happen, when they leave, your role switches because your child is no longer there for you to do all those nurturing and supporting things right in your eyesight. Now, you might still continue, they still be in your pocketbook. So you may still have that role of paying out the money. Okay, financier. Okay, I can pronounce that real well. You may still have that role, but you know what I'm saying. Your role shifts, and sometimes your identity or how you look or feel about yourself may shift too, because you may feel like you ain't needed no more. Okay. And so this brings in some major challenges as we're trying to, um, balance what we're doing in our career and what the family dynamics are. We're still in leadership roles at work, but we may feel that we have really no purpose, that the leadership, the leading, the stuff we did at home no longer counts. So we may begin to question our identity. And, and this is a challenge for us, but the strategy is for us to embrace those changes as growth, as in fact, we're growing, we're moving into a new role. Now, I know it'd be tough. This one can be really tough because it really involves you shifting your mindset and the way that you think about things, how you think about yourself and your identity and what you're doing and who you are. And it's important to move from that confusion that you have now that there's a role shift to clarity in what's next, because you need to continue to live your life. And if you want to continue to find that harmony so that you don't bring all that confusion into the home, it's going to be very important for you to embrace these changes as growing, as evolving. And the changes a lot of women are going through, particularly in midlife, are going through changes in their body, mental changes, emotional, them summers that you get. Those are the kinds of changes. And so, how do you balance that and continue to be that badass professional that you are, that star in your company? How do you continue to do that? Well, work on your mindset, understand that these are changes. These changes really are growth opportunities. And that's going to be important for you to think about your role, think about your identity so that you can move from that confusion or that uncertainty to real clarity about what's next. So that in order for you to think about what's next, see these changes as opportunities and new things to do. And, because it's your choice, you can approach these changes in role and identity with a negative, oh, this isn't going to work. I've taken care of my children for so long. What does it mean to me? Now I'm a caregiver. My parents are getting older. I have to take care of them. What does that mean? How am I going to handle all that stress and pressure, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Because, and the reason we're talking about these life transition and life changes as you are still continuing your leadership role is because that's the kind of balance that you got to deal with, because you still are going to have to work, run your career. You still want to be the best at whatever it is in your professional achievements in your work. You still have a business to run if you're an entrepreneur, and those life changes are still there. So in the mix of all of that, how do we maintain that balance? How do we find that harmony? So again, the key things is to look at the changes as growth, and to recognize that you're going to have to do some mindset shifts, and you're going to have to find the ways to go from confusion and uncertainty about what's happening to clarity in what's next. And again, if any of y'all need any help in that, that's what I do. So DM me, direct message me, connect with me at any time. Here's a couple of tips that you can do yourself and with your family. One of the things is to discuss with your family, have those talks, talk about the changing roles. I remember when I had to really become a caregiver for my husband when he got cancer. And it was, it was new and it was different. And we all sat and talked about my husband and my children. And we talked about how it was going to be new and different, different roles. There were things that I would have to do and places I would have to go and things my children would have to do and um, transportation and being at home and all of these things that were different. And they were scary because it was new and different, um, but found some peace in talking about it, having conversations, recognizing that in fact, these changes are new, they're new roles, they're new responsibilities. And so let's talk about it. So again, talking about it is one. Always, I feel that having a journal and writing in your journal and keeping your personal reflections to document your thoughts and your feelings and your experiences can help you, find this balance, this harmony in what's going on. It's a personal space that you have when you journal. It helps you process your emotions. Transition markers, those rituals or ceremonies that you can use to mark the beginning or the end of something that happens. I know um, my client Angela that I told you about, she has this big event planned for when her next two children, which she learned from her older child leaving, but her next two children, those of you who might have heard the story, I talked about one of my clients who very successful, um, a leader, nonprofit leader who was going through several life changes. One was beginning the empty nest process with her older daughter going to college. She has it all planned for the next two. She's going to have, a great party. She's going to plan. She's calling it her empty nest party. She's got some fancy name for it, but that's basically what it is. But what she's doing with something like that is recognizing the transition, recognizing that this change is coming, celebrating it, finding the good in it. And then she's also set the time. It's like a marker for her where she needs to begin to do something else, where she's going to step in a new role. And isn't that wonderful? So, see, you can do this kind of transition, where you actually embrace, you move forward into whatever change is happening and you see the opportunity in it. And sometimes it's tough. It really is. Another tip is to seek guidance for helping navigate these changes. And of course, moi does that. And you can always DM me. But finding a place where you can talk to somebody, work it through, figure out your next steps, make a plan for what's next, helps you with this balancing and the harmony because professionals like myself can offer the insights and framework for kind of helping you understand what's going on and integrate that into your professional and your personal life and the new roles that you're experiencing so that you can create a structured approach to embracing change. And of course, one of the things, the other tip I'll leave with you as we talk about identity and role transitions and the things that you can do in terms of embracing change is that look at these shifts in identity and roles as wonderful times for you to pursue your passion pursuits. So this is where you, of course, you go get a new skill or a new hobby, take an interest, volunteer. This is a fabulous time when you're facing these kinds of transitions to move into pursuing your passions. The third area that I want you to focus on as you're finding this balance, as you're looking for this, how do you handle the professional accomplishments that you have along with the dynamics of family life so that you don't feel that you're neglecting either. This focus area has to do with actually trying to working on integrating work life. um, there often is this guilt that we have, that we get because we're trying to do it all. We're trying to be perfect and we don't want to neglect nothing. Okay. And we want to balance all those balls. And so we're balancing the balls, and if just one drops, we get that guilty feeling. Any of you all had that? Say yes in the comments if you have. We feel like we've neglected something. And all the time while we're balancing, we're often what it is that we're really neglecting is ourselves and taking care of ourselves. And that leads to this overwhelmed and I'm just exhausted. So, what I want you to do as we look at this focus area is to shift your thinking from perfect balance to flexible harmony. In other words, that ain't everything going to be, it's not going to be, it's a misnomer that you're going to have equal weights on everything. That in fact, everything on one point of your life is going to be at the same point as another part of your life. That really doesn't work. It doesn't happen like that. What we want to strive for is having the integration of our family life and the things that we have at home and with our loved ones and the professional pursuits that we have, that we want to have them like an orchestra, where every instrument is just playing in harmony. Sometimes the drums will play, sometimes the string section will come forward. But it really is, it's not about the balance, it's about the harmony, how it all works together. And so one of the things as I work with women leaders in particular, this struggle to find the perfect balance often does not work. And it really is about this integration, this harmony, understanding that the aiming for a strict separation between work time and family time doesn't really work. So instead of doing that, when we integrate or think about work life as in harmony or trying to get to harmony, this acknowledges your role as a leader, a member of a family, and an individual, and those are all connected. So that in fact, we're not siloed. I know on your job place, all of us hear a lot about silos and not siloing and how this doesn't work in teamwork. You know that as a leader, right? You don't want people acting in their own distinct fields, not communicating by themselves, isolated. Well, this is the same concept, okay? So that in fact, you are not siloed as a person. You are an individual who wears many different hats. And so you are a successful leader. You are running your company, you're a business owner. You do have family connections, and you're a person and you're an individual. So rather than try to silo work, life, family, let's work at integrating. So, what do I mean by that? Hey, flexible work hours, so that in fact you make sure that your work hours, you adjust your work hours to accommodate personal and family needs. Okay. Whether that's, a school schedule that you change around or a caregiving place you have to be, but you integrate that and you make it a part of what you do. You start your day early, perhaps, so that you can, help with homework in the afternoon or make that run that you have to see a loved one. But you adjust your work schedule. And also, you integrate your self care. Oftentimes we see self care as something we do after work or before work, but not during work. Mm-mm. No, you can do it during the workday. It's okay. You could take those walks, you could take those deep breaths, you can create your workspace as a wonderful environment so that you feel peaceful, so that you're taking care of yourself in your workspace. You can take breaks. You can incorporate meditation or even your favorite hobby. So don't separate it out. Do those things together. Integrate your self care in your workday and have those healthy environments and include your family in what you're doing in your professional life. My children, one of the things I used to do all the time was anytime there was an activity, or as many times as I could, there was a community event or activity, I'd take somebody with me. And also to my children or my husband, or we go to these things together. It doesn't have to be a silo. And I bring it home. Oftentimes you hear this, don't bring work home. Mm-mm. That's a different twist on that. I would come home. I'd encourage my husband to come home just as I would children. You know how you always ask your children, well, what happened in school today? And you expect to get a rundown. Well, what happened? Well, the same for you as you want to integrate what you do in your professional life with your family dynamics at home. You do the same thing. Well, what happened at work today? And so you tell about those things. Now, I would do many of the inspiring things and funny things that happen, but I would also talk about some of the challenges too. But when we're talking about doing that integration, we can talk about those things. So work family events, take your family with you, um, talk about your career and what you're doing and share those aspects of your work life because you're passionate about the work and the career and the job you're doing. Share that passion with your family. And so here is this last focus area I wanted to make sure that you really paid some attention to. And that is oftentimes we struggle with feeling that disconnectedness because we're so busy in looking for how to harmonize what you do as a leader, what you do in your career with your family dynamics. You got to be focused on it. You got to be intentional about it. So, finding those strategies, doing those things where you deliberately nurture the relationships that you have at home with your children, with your significant others, with your loved ones, is what this focus area talks about. So, you become intentional. I've had so many leaders say to me, "Yeah, I just feel like I'm neglecting, and I'm off. I'm traveling. There's so many demands at work. I'm neglecting my home, my children, my spouse." And I say, I said, "Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to stop that and become intentional about connecting with your family." Because there are very specific things that you can do. Now, you don't have to do everything at once, but you can start adding in some strategies, some tips. So where you actually allocate specific family time. You know what I'm saying? And you connect. And when you're doing that, you're going to connect with your heart. You're going to listen. What that means is you're going to listen. You're going to listen more than you speak. You're going to encourage, you're going to inspire, and it's just your time. You're going to be in a tech free zone. You're going to be focused. You're going to listen. You're going to be intentional. And these are the things that we can do where we create these quality time blocks, which you can do with your schedule them, put them on your calendar, and actually, allocate that time. Have it for shared experiences and for family rituals. You should build in family rituals, things that you'd expect. Every year, you're going to go on a vacation to a certain place. You're going to have the Friday fish night. You're going to have family time, whatever it is, build in those rituals. But the point is that you're going to be very intentional. One of the things that I shared with Angela, my client, we talked about was creating this family vision board. And we got the idea because she spent so much time um, creating her own board, her own every year. How many of you do a vision board? I know I do. And you do this vision board. And what she um, found was that she could involve her family in doing it. So she created this whole family vision board process. And so she involved her kids, her husband in it, and it was really cool. And of course, when they had lots of fun, lots of good stuff to eat, and everything, and it just really became a ritual that she did, and she connected with the family. And so the point is that there are intentional things that we can do all the time, in fact, to be connected with our family. Well, those are the focus areas that I wanted to share with you. Love to, I see we have a number of comments that have come in. And please remember to, if you've got questions, love to answer them. And so great to see all of you. Thank you for being here, and let me know what other topics we can talk about and what would be helpful to you. I hope you found the strategies for balancing, blending, harmonizing your role as a leader with your role in your family. I hope you found this helpful, and you'll remember those areas to focus on so that you can create greater harmony. And some of the tips, would love to hear some of your tips that you feel have worked for you. So please keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments. DM me if you'd like to talk further, and really appreciate you being here. And I'm going to see you the next time, next Wednesday, 9 o'clock a.m. And also let me know what topics you'd like to. This is Black History Month. It's also the month of love, Valentine's, and we've got so much stuff we're going to be talking about. Our next topic is going to be about self-care, burnout, all those kinds of things. Hope you'll join me. Love seeing you. Thank you. Be vibrant.